All right, good saw dudes. That will never get easy.
How's it going, everybody?
Okay. Anyways, welcome to Operation episode 4 of the Postplan podcast. Yeah, and for today's episode, we're gonna be talking about the new season, which we're recording this on the 11th, but this is most likely gonna go live on the day when the reveal happens. So, yeah, we're gonna be talking about the Operation Heavy Metal. Mettle. Everyone's just taking the piss of heavy metal. Oh. But yeah. Anyways, I mean, we don't have to drag on too long. We can start talking about the new operator, Ram. What are your thoughts, Rig?
Really, really cool.
Really loud.
Yes. Yes, I have pretty much nothing but good things to say.
Yeah.
I do believe when people get to see how she works, they'll realize that she's very strong. Both, I guess, lore-wise and gameplay-wise, because she can throw this giant car thing up onto towards an AC vent, which seems a little I don't know what she's deadlifting. Maybe 400 pounds at least.
And she has 4 of them too.
Yeah.
I don't know where they come from when she pulls them out, but I don't know where she stores them, but she has 4 of them. Yeah.
I'm just saying, girl doesn't skip pull day.
Definitely
ever.
Not.
But that aside, the gadget is really interesting.
Yes.
It allows you to get vertical without having to put yourself at risk in a gunfight. It is a very efficient means of getting vertical control. It doesn't just have a one use case scenario as well, just for that particular job. You can also use it to clear out really entrenched kind of positions. A good example I would say would probably be like Oregon, like blue by the elbow side, where you have the deployable shield. Excuse me, big breakfast, usually like barbed wire, stuff like that. It's a very multifaceted tool, and you can do a lot of different things with it, and you can interact with the gameplay loop in a variety of ways, which I think that's what Siege is all about. She is definitely going to be regarded, in my opinion, mainly as a very efficient and very effective vertical operator, which is fair, because in the testing that I did, when I had some time to myself, it's not even close in terms of the speed at which she can work. Yeah. Buck can't keep up. He doesn't have as much ammo to even cover the same amount of ground that she can cover. And Sledge is, he has to manually hit every single piece with the hammer, whereas she can just throw these things from windows, from skylights. She can throw them, behind cover, across lines of sight. She has really good guns. She has a secondary shotgun. She has can openers. Ram is very good. I don't know if she's going to be like an insta-ban in comp, but I think she's going to get banned pretty frequently in ranked.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think she's good, but I don't think she falls into that department of like, oh, she's frustratingly good. I feel like in ranked, people tend to not strategically ban that much. They mostly ban like comfort stuff, so like Dokkaebi, Jackal, which I mean I fully understand. But I think a lot of people are gonna raise the sort of again we're predicting here. We're two days in advance what we think how the majority of the community are gonna react. But I think that there's definitely gonna be a lot of people that are gonna say that Sledge has been power creeped, and there's definitely some logic to that. However, I think just the fact that he still has his nades, like, don't get me wrong, like, she has a better gun and a better gadget than Sledge, but just the fact that he still has the nades, confirmed, I think he's still, like, okay, but he's definitely, like, okay, he's kind of getting power creeped. Which is definitely something to keep in mind, but Ram is so fun. Like you, and what you said, a lot of people are probably gonna think that she's very one-dimensional, like, oh, you throw this on the floor and you get vert. There's so many uses for Ram. Not only for the vertical aspect, but you can make sneaky plays where you just put it next to a barricade and then rush in as it opens it for you. Like you can use her as a rushing tool, and an actual battering ram, and just throw it through a barricade and rush with it. And it's probably the most silent rush you can do, even better than an Ashe.
Sound masking is a very important
Yes.
aspect of the gadget.
Yeah, exactly. You can use it for a plant situation where you just make a shit ton of sound and you plant, and it's a good time of fun. And it even has like some nice combinations that you'll find as you play her. We played against one team that was using, I think they were ramming the floor to get like a bunch of vertical, and then they had a jackal and a lion. They like immediately started scanning footprints on site and lioning, and then the whole site is open, so there's no escape route. And then we also had a similar where we used Ying to flash them with the like, you get the Ying canister through the floor, and as they are flashed, you just open the entire floor, and when the flashes start going away, the entire floor is just gone. And there was just so many great fun combos that we were allowed to take around with Ram herself, which was a really good time. Like a really good time.
I think this is one of the more fun capture sessions that I got to participate in a while.
Yep.
And
it was easy to actually get games going around. Although that's because last time Ubisoft were very careful with who they invited, so it was hard.
Yes.
Yada yada yada. But
and the tough thing about using trap ops like we had last time for Fenrir is that people have to interact with the trap.
Yeah.
So I think it's always a little bit more exciting whenever we have an attacker to play with, because then we can like force the situation.
Yeah, and people sometimes people choose to bring counters. Like when Fenrir was being tested, a lot of people ran, Brava, Twitch to actively count Fenrir. And sure, you can say that that's counterproductive when you really want to show the gadget off. That's a topic for content creators.
It's a whole different can of worms.
Ram doesn't really have counters. One thing you will notice.
No, and that's the part where I'm kind of like,
yeah. I will say,
I don't know. Yeah,
a lot of people are going to be confused with the interaction, how she works with jamming devices. So Mute's jammer and the bulletproof camera EMP. You can jam it before it's activated. However, once it's been activated, it is not electronic anymore. It's electronic before, so Solis can see it and stuff. But once she activates it, it turns fully mechanical. Solis can see it, jammers can jam it, bulletproof cameras can EMP it, which that interaction feels kind of whack. I feel like it would be nice to be able to especially jam it with a bulletproof camera. Because right now there's no counterplay. Once that thing is on, like, yes, you can shoot it through the floorboards, but
you can impact it.
But that achieves. Oh, you should. Then she gets the burst.
I'm gonna impact a hole that's already there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
the
and she has 4 again. Even if there was a good way to counter like 1 or 2 of them, she has 4, and they open a lot. So
which having 3 is already like a lot.
I think I think at the end of the day though, I would still say that vertical can be a double-edged sword. And
true.
Opening a very large area can backfire.
And I don't think a lot of people are going to be able to capitalize on it.
It's going to be very interesting to see in pro play where they're going to be very specific with where they open vert. But I think in casual and ranked, you're going to see people that it's going to be like the castle situation where you're going to have bad ram players that are just going to open the entire floor, and it's going to backfire on you.
There's a situation. Yeah. There is one kind of aspect of tactical depth where you can deploy the gadget and then remotely activate it at a later point in time. I do like that, but that again is another layer that I think like casuals aren't really gonna truly embrace until they're putting in like a lot of hours with this character.
Well, with that said, though, I do think that Ram will probably help achieve something that's been kind of hard, and that is to actually give new players a tool to really start learning vertical play. Like Sledge is more like surgical precision type vertical play now, whereas Ram can just open a lot and you can learn, quickly where you can find good angles and stuff, and then you can take that into playing Sledge. And
plus, getting vertical against players that know what they're doing is dangerous. You get C forward if you're playing Buck and you shotgun the hole in a really like lackadaisical way, and you expose yourself too much, you're prone to getting shot.
What
Like
was
if
that
you
word?
huh?
Lackadaisical?
Lackadaisical.
I have never heard that in my
Like
entire life.
you're not like not paying attention, just kind of like winging
Oh,
it.
you say unaware.
Yeah, just yeah, you're just sort of like okay,
Continue,
whatever,
continue.
just like
Sorry.
boom, boom. Yeah. With the shotgun, you just kind of like go up. You don't really take into consideration that somebody can be looking up at you. You don't like isolate the angle.
Yeah.
You don't pay attention to like the perspective and the geometry of it. So there's lots of like little micro mistakes that you can make while getting vert.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I think RAM is going to alleviate a lot of that. I also think that it's going to be one of those situations where people are going to look at this and go, okay, this is like removing the skill floor from vertical to a certain extent.
I don't think
Sure.
so.
Um, but I also want people to be able to interface with the gameplay a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
And
I don't think it's a Solus situation where Solus like punishes people for playing the game, like you said,
yeah.
which was succinctly put.
Yeah.
RAM rewards you for thinking ahead of time and figuring out what the hell you want to do.
Mm.
So I'm here for it personally.
And again, it will be a double-edged sword. You're not gonna want to open the entire floor. You're gonna want to open specific angles. And I can even see cases where, as a RAM player, you might intentionally want to turn off your boogie before it's actually done, in order to only get specific vert that you actually want, and not give defenders vert that they would actually prefer playing with.
Also, you got to be cautious about, masking sound. Like attackers have a lot more visual confirmation. And so I think that sound masking is a much more useful thing for them because they have to go to the defense. But you also can't discount the fact that you can still get flanked.
Yeah.
So having that ability to work the vertical is really nice. But you should also take advantage of the fact that you can keep your gun up. If you place the boogie drone and you're just kind of looking at nothing and you don't hear the flank, then like, what's the point of using it, right? You should take advantage of that and be able to hold the angle with your gun in case somebody comes up, because you're probably not going to hear them if the device is working. The one thing that I wanted to talk about that you mentioned in terms of the counter department is that I think the mechanics there. I understand that there's like kind of a sense of internal logic there and how the lore design of the gadget works. So it's basically like a for those who aren't aware, it's like a gas powered like automated little system of sorts, and I'm assuming the electronic component, right, quote, is the ignition switch. So she hits the detonator, right, so to speak, and then that sends a charge, and that's like the signal, right?
Yeah.
But then when it's running, it's running.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are going to look at this and think like, oh, well, this is like a drone, right? Because it's kind of like running like autonomously and doing its own thing. Well, it's not, right? That's why like mute jammers don't do anything to it.
And
that
Mozzie
is,
doesn't do anything to it.
yeah, Mozzie doesn't do anything. It is a little bit confusing, I think, for new players, just because like out of all of the things that run autonomously on wheels or on fans in Echo's case, that rule applies to all of them except this one.
Yeah.
Now I do think making it like really big and loud and like kind of like monstrous in comparison to the other tools does kind of help with that. But I do think there's going to be a couple of instances there where it's like, okay, well, I can just put the mute jammer, and then it's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see the disadvantage, I think, from a lore perspective, and from the get-go of just making it into like, okay, here's like this little electronic like car that kind of runs autonomously on its own, and then if it runs to a mute jammer, it's like right, it gets all screwed up. Sure. I don't know if that was a like strictly intentional design choice by Ubisoft. It does seem to be the case. That being said, I don't. This is one of those like situations where I kind of want to adopt a wait and see approach on it.
Yeah.
In terms of whether it's going to be like super broken or not.
I mean,
I don't think it's wildly broken. I think that RAM is just really good in terms of what she brings to the table, and her overall kit might get tweaked later on.
Yeah, and
if I had to guess,
at the end of the day, I always said it like this: I'm completely fine if an operator is overpowered in their own season.
Yes,
that's okay. Like I've been fine with Fener in Dread Factor. He's definitely good, and I think he punishes, a good play style to punish. Obviously, a lot of people are not very happy with him, but there's a reason for that. But obviously, these should never last, Azami or Solis amounts of time. That's wrong. But at least in their own season, I'm cool with it. So I think Ram for now is definitely not in like an emergency mode where they would need to like nerf her. But she's good and she feels impactful, and you're gonna have a good time with her. And she's also like, she's cool to play against. Like as a defender, you're not mad that
it's interesting.
Yeah. Like when shit starts opening up above you, it's cool. It's badass.
It's Siege.
Yeah,
it's Siege.
It's Siege. Yeah. It's Siege, and you're gonna have a good time playing against her and playing with her as well. The only thing that I would probably say that they might need to tweak right now is the volume, because that thing is so loud.
Yeah, and
like I like that it's a bit loud, but it's too loud.
I love the idea of using sound masking as a gameplay design choice.
Same.
The issue is that it is such a balancing act. Like you have to, like the moment that you go just a little bit too far, it can really ruin the experience for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so you have to be really careful with it. I think it could use, like, because that's what didn't they adjust like Ace's charge after he came out? It was like super freaking loud when it first dropped.
I
don't know
Maverick.
if I'm gaslighting myself.
You're thinking of Maverick. They did it with Maverick. His was too
quiet.
Too quiet. Yeah.
But I could have sworn Ace was like loud, and they were like, "Nah, we gotta tune this down." Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe
I think
Mandela effect.
I think there's something in there as well that maybe was a bit too loud.
Because the logic of it also was that because it's not an explosive, right? Like it's this hydraulic like pressure system that's literally like bending freaking metal, right? With pneumatics. Of course, it's going to be loud, right?
I'm pretty sure it filled it up with water to the point it bursted.
It fills up the metal with water?
I don't know if I think it's inside of the wall itself, and it just fills up with water pressure and then blows up. I'm pretty sure it's a water-based thing.
Okay, I don't know my Siege lore. I always thought it was
it's called a Selma Aqua Breacher. You know that, right?
Well, I know it's an Aqua Breacher, but I thought it was like the ice is like it like builds up water pressure on the arms, and then the arms like flex, and eventually they just like flex so much that but then the arms would like break. I don't know, man. I'm not an engineer.
I don't know how realistic it is, but I'm pretty sure that thematically it's supposed to basically fill up with water to the point where it's Titanic sub.
All right, fair. Well, I do think that no way you just
too soon. Okay.
I was like, wait, the Titanic isn't a submarine. I was like, oh.
Okay, anyway, I feel bad now. Anyways, Ram cool.
No, it's funny.
Ram cool.
Can we talk about the character design a little bit before we deviate? Because I'd love to throw that in there.
Yeah, speedrun it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love the night vision goggles. I love the plate carrier. I love the whole. I love the look.
I want to make a prediction. There's immediately gonna be people that are gonna be like, oh, why can't she turn on the NVG? Hello. And yeah, but at the end of the day,
looks cool.
It looks cool. That's the whole purpose.
It's Tom Clancy. It's old school Tom Clancy.
Ubisoft had a really good opportunity to add some night maps back in with that. Not that she should be able to use the NVG or anything, but maybe some night maps back in would have been quite nice.
Maybe they should take some cues from the last couple of Modern Warfare campaigns, see if they can't play around with that, with some like PvE stuff. I think that'd be an interesting idea one season, but that's speculative.
We will get into that a little bit later with our last topic of today. But
sure,
we'll cut you over there and get to that later. But let's talk about the other stuff that comes with the season. So there's a few balance changes. Sadly, no Solis nerf yet. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I don't know either.
Again, I'm personally kind of weirdly okay with Azami Fenrir, but it's really odd to not see anything there. But anyways, let's talk about the ones that are actually. So the one that I've seen people kind of freak out about on Reddit is Lesion. So for those of you who don't know, there's a whole list of changes that happens to Lesion. One, he gets a super shorty. Nice. He can do site setup now. And then his Okay, let's see if I can get them all. His gadget now deals 5 damage when it hits. It ticks for 12. Is that correct? Like
I believe
every
so.
rotation is
Don't
12.
quote me on it.
If you are lesioned and you step in another lesion, the tick does a full spin and starts over. Like it's like go without bypassing the jail. And you basically you take 12 damage and it starts ticking again. However, it all comes at a trade-off. The goo mines are not invisible anymore. That's now that I realize that some people kind of
I think we're gonna have a Reddit moment over that.
we already had. It was leaked. And I saw that
great.
Reddit where why are you killing trap operators in the TDM meta? Listen, Lesion is so much better now. Like we've played him now for a couple of days. All you gotta do is like instead of slapping it right in the doorway, all you gotta do is slap it on the door edge. It's always had like an AoE activation. Now you actually get to see where it is. That's just a visual change. That's not an actual gameplay change. It could always trigger on that range. However, all you gotta do now is put them on the edge of a doorway. Trust me, I think I've triggered more goo mines now when I'm actually like hiding them a bit to the side than I've triggered when they're actually invisible. It takes a little bit more skill. The skill ceiling, I would say, has increased a little bit on Lesion, but honestly, he feels more powerful.
They can blend into like shades of gray.
Yes,
a lot better than they can any other kind of
inside of a step on a staircase.
Yes.
Like there's so many good ways you can hide it, and it makes Lesion more fun because you actually have to be a little bit more creative when you play him. Like he's less of a brain dead fragger now. He's actually like kind of a. I mean,
Thorn's razor blooms are literally like bright blue.
Yeah.
I mean, like as far as traps are concerned, like they're pretty easy to conceal anyway. Like they're on the ground.
Also,
they're not going to be like in your direct line of sight.
Now you can one shot someone with your goo mines. For those who don't, again, going back to what I said, every time a goo mine re-triggers, it does the full damage. If you stack all, I think it's what 7 or 8. I one shot a Zofia by just stacking them all, and she goes in and she dies.
I get the feeling that Yubi's not a fan of that.
No, what? No, but hey,
I don't know.
No,
I think they might look at that and be like, okay, guys.
No. That is completely fine. If they drone out and they miss a leaning tower of bat soup, that's no. They deserve to get yeeted if they step into that. Okay? No. I will not hear it. It's fun. It's a high risk, high reward type thing. It's completely fine. All right. I want to hear it.
How would you even get to a point where you could stack all of them on top of each other anyway?
What? Oh, I just stacked them up against like a doorway, and you just kept throwing them on top of each other.
They have to charge over time, right?
Yeah.
You'd have to just be like sitting there, just like, yeah, like your team's like fighting for their life on top floor for an extended roam, and you're sitting there like playing Legos.
Okay,
like,
listen.
Ooh.
No, but he slots really well into like he slots really well into a meta that I kind of coined a couple years back called chip meta, where you're basically just playing like time delay and stuff that ships health off of characters. So Clash, Tachanka, Goyo, Capcan, that kind of stuff, right? And just buying time and also chipping health off as much as you can, which is also going to build on top of the topic that we're talking a little bit later as well. Okay. But yeah, like it slots really well into chip meta, and just playing that time, playing the clock. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how he actually plays. Again, I think skill ceiling is higher, performance is potential is higher. I think the Lesion changes are really quite good. Not that he's the operator that I wish they actually focused on. I think it wasn't necessarily bad or good, or I mean it was okay, but they made it more spicier now, which I can actually appreciate. Anything you want to say on that?
No, I think yeah, I'm a fan of the new Lesion. I like the super shorty. I think he's going to get a lot more competitive play as a result of that. People kind of understate the usefulness of having a shotgun of some kind. Yeah. A lot of the time, I think that when you are optimizing everything to the like utmost maximum degree of efficiency in terms of your site setup, any kind of help that you can get at all it goes a long way. I think you're going to see a lot more Lesion, and that's okay. I'm cool with that because Guy was just kind of on the back burner for a little bit.
Yep.
For a solid second there.
Yeah. So the other there wasn't a whole lot of changes, sadly, in this season. But the changes that they're bringing in are cool. So Fuse gets another buff change to him. I guess you could also count Osa into this one as well. And along with Zero.
This is a really cool interaction, yeah.
Yeah, so both Zero and Fuse are now going to be able to pierce deployable shields, including Osa, with their gadgets. I don't think that changes too much for Zero, personally. Like, that one's just kind of a nice quality of life. Like, you can do it, but it's not like a huge change.
Yeah.
Fuse, on the other hand, not only do we get, like, an actual dedicated combo that you can run with Fuse and Osa, which is really fun. Like, there's so many cool things you can do with it, which you will probably see in the content creator videos that are going out. Like, there's so many crazy cool things you can do. I've seen people put them on, like, Top's cafe skylight and then use it to fuse into the skylight.
Yeah,
and
yeah, anywhere you have an Osa shield, you can fuse now, which is pretty sick.
Yeah, and if they have put like a bad shield that's locked into a doorway, you can defuse that as well, and you can clear all of the things that are behind the shield. Like, you can really punish people that are putting bad deployable shields with Fuse now, which it gives Fuse like that versatility that is always needed. Like, being able to penetrate hard walls was a pretty big change for him, giving him more versatility that he desperately needed. But now I think he's actually getting that full-on versatility where, like, he's really quite good now, which is
nice. I love the comboing.
Yeah,
any kinds of mechanical changes where you can, like, duo strat stuff, like you and a friend, anything that like encourages you to get creative and interact with the gameplay, interact with the sandbox with your teammates.
Yes,
I love.
Yep, 100%.
More stuff like that. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, there's not really any bad things to say with the balance changes. I think the only thing is we have the shotgun changes. We can actually. I was gonna do Quick Match 2.0 as our second topic, but we can actually jump quickly to the shotgun changes, I guess, and talk about that first.
Yeah,
because that's technically part of the balance changes as well. So, for those who don't know, in Heavy Metal, Ubisoft are basically working the way all non-slug shotguns are functioning. They're doing two things.
Yeah.
They're making it so that you have the sort of bailiff aspect when you move around, that the hip fire becomes wider, so it's easier to set up sight with shotguns, which is quite nice. And then they've also lowered the damage on the shotguns. However, they've increased the precision when you ADS with the shotguns. Well, I mean, on some shotguns, they've even, like, reduced the spread in general. And
yeah,
this is the big one. This is the change that's probably going to define the season more than the Lesion, Fuse, or any other changes. I mean, technically, Lesion has the pillow shotgun, and that one is quite good now. So Lesion's going to be a monster with that. It's hard for us to really explain, like, shotgun. The word shotgun meta has been thrown around in our play sessions. People are running Duck and Rook shotgun and just lasering people across the room, and it's
mirror shotgun.
Yeah, it's been refreshing. Is it something that I would want to deal with for an LMG meta amounts of time? Definitely not. But it's something new, it's something fresh, and I welcome our shotgun overlords.
I think it's good. I think in the current state, it's just a tiny bit, just a little bit overtuned.
Yeah, I agree.
But and I hope that we don't have, like, I hope we don't have a situation, a game balancing situation where it's like we have, like, this really good idea, and we just get enough like Reddit brain reactions to it that just, like, completely overblow, like, the gravity of it, and then they, like, tack way too far back in the other direction, which that would really stink.
Yeah,
because I love the concept of what they were trying to do here. So basically, kind of paraphrasing what you said, a lot of what Ubisoft has done here, at least from what I can tell, this is just just a guess, is I think what they're trying to lean into with a lot of like the tacticalism or like the faux tacticalism kind of like semi-realism implied mechanics, right? Is that they want the shotguns to kind of like feel like they have weight and impact over range in a way that isn't like in a way that is not like a direct carbon copy to other FPS games. They want them to feel like they kind of do in reality. In reality, shotguns don't just like stop doing damage like at like 5 inches away from the barrel, right? That's not how that works.
Yeah.
They're not. You certainly can't like be firing at things from like miles and miles away. But obviously, the longer the barrel or what you would call choke, like it's mathematics, right? Like the actual like spread, the geometry of it is going to be a little bit more contained. And so what I think they're doing here is just kind of like they basically said, okay, we have a lot of shotguns that kind of stink right now. They're very RNG dependent. Solus's shotgun was a great example of that, where you had a lot of instances where you might one-shot pump, but then you'll have I could.
I wanted her nerfed, not buffed.
She got an indirect, well, not even an indirect buff. I mean, she got a direct buff as a result of this change.
Which is funny because that's like the third indirect buff she's received since release. And she's only gotten better when or whatever.
Yeah. They've tightened up the pellet spread.
Yeah.
And so you're gonna have more reliable pellets like on the target, basically. So you're gonna have more damage overall. So it's like equal parts. Like I think it's a little bit of a damage increase. I haven't done the math on it yet. It feels like it.
Oh yeah.
But
it's a consistency increase.
Yes, at the very least, the pellets are tighter, so there's less RNG, and they feel a lot more consistent and a lot more punchy than they used to be.
Yes.
I don't think it's quite as bad as like year one Sniper 90, but it's like a really nice middle ground in between. I don't know. Sniper 90 was pretty bad, man. That was like.
I might be looking back at it with rose tinted glasses, but it's bordering that though. Like some of the shotguns are kind of crazy now. But again,
dude, Doc's shotgun,
it's fun.
Ooh, oh my gosh,
the Doc shotgun was really screwing people up. Wow.
Yeah, so this is all
But again, going back to it, it's we talked about TDM meta in our last podcast, I think it was, and I don't necessarily think that you're gonna see a non-TDM meta. I think you're just gonna see a TDM meta variant, but shotguns are gonna be more of a part of it. But it's something different. It's something fresh, and I think it's more fun.
I think it's cool that a lot of like meme loadouts aren't meme loadouts anymore. I think if there are options, they should be at least somewhat viable.
Yeah, and honestly, that felt like the case, at least in our playtests. We saw people running Melusi shotgun. I ran Mira shotgun, which was it was fun. Like you could play Mira windows with her shotgun.
Yeah, I love the solo shotgun.
Yeah, Stop reminding me. I'm going to
Mirror shotgun, jackal shotgun.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But yeah, like they actually like all shotguns feel like a viable option now. I am worried about Ella.
I didn't really get much mileage with her.
Ella was already quite good, especially with the extended barrel buff, and I'm not 100% sure how much that one benefited. I haven't really tested that one either. But I am kind of worried that one's going to be kind of cracked too again. But we'll see. But anyways, I welcome the shotgun meta. It just don't last.
It feels fair for the most part. There are a couple of shotguns like Doc's shotgun where I'm like, this is literally like I'm out trap shooting like clay pigeons. And then there are some shotguns where it's like, okay, I'm running the 612 and like I hit like 2 square shots right to the chest at a reasonable range and I got the kill. It's like, all right, cool. Whereas like in previous versions of the game, I'm like, why did I fire 4 shots at this guy and then like, hello? Like it's just kind of that's kind of silly.
I think one thing that's also really important that we talk about here is that compared to regular TDM meta, well, actually not even that one too, but I like when with a gun focused meta, there's not necessarily a lot of things that you as a player can do to mitigate it. Obviously, with TDM meta, you can play stuff that slows people down and stops people from just rushing in, yada yada. But You can't really do much about
Shotguns
the
are going to be really good at that.
Yes. However, what I wanted to say is there are going to be tools for you that if the shotgun meta becomes like a really prominent thing, you have so many tools you can use to mitigate it. You can play on punch holes because shotguns are going to be extremely ineffective if they have to try to shoot you through a little pixel through a wall. You can use a Zami to create pixel peaks. You can use, you know, castle to create off angles that shotguns are just not going to be able to play. So there's going to be ways for you to mitigate if that were to become like a really, really strong meta. And for that reason, like, as long as there's good ways for you to outbrain it, which I do think there is,
yeah,
I'm kind of okay with it. Yeah,
I'm okay with it too. I'd rather have this than the LMG meta, 100%.
Yeah, because the LMG meta was like, we were talking about this with Pigeon, and like the LMG meta, there wasn't really counterplay. They just they clicked mouse one and they just walked in, and you hoped that you could outgun them before they gunned you down. With the shotgun meta, there are ways you can mitigate it. You can play long range angles. You can play off angles. You can play through punch holes. So there are ways to play around it,
and you have to have good. You have to have good positioning, and you have to have good mechanics, I think, to back it up.
Yeah,
because there are a lot of situations where like a lot of what makes the shotgun work, because you can't like, it's not fully automatic, most of them anyway, right? Not any at all. I guess discounting the ACS 12, but that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
But the idea is, right, like you have like a limited amount of time in between each of the shots. So it's like you fire and then you have to cock it and then go back and fire again. So in between the shots, you're vulnerable. So you have to be kind of smart with your positioning. You can't be like super reckless. It's like, it's a timing game.
It's gonna be...
I'm okay with that, right? Like that's a little bit more, I feel that that's a little bit more interesting than just like W key mouse one, I have 150 bullets. You literally can't do anything because all I have to do is just like aim my laser beam at head level, and then like you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And you have an MP5 on Malusi, like good luck.
Yeah. I think it's kind of funny because we're definitely gonna stumble upon, I don't know, you've seen the memes with the wardens forgetting that they can activate their gadget when they get flashbanged, but we're also gonna run into similar situations now when you're gonna have someone in a 1v1 against a shotgun player where they're gonna be pushing the shotgun player instead of doing the smart thing, which is just to play as far away as possible.
Calming. It's the most annoying thing ever. It's like I hate like calming like shotgun, and then they just keep taking the gunfight like right on top of the doorway.
Yeah, they walk up as close as possible, like hugging the doorway, and then tries to like peek around it instead of just go to Narnia, stand over there, and wait like a good person.
Yeah, like the one-shot headshot rule. Like that's the one thing I love about shotguns in Siege, is that they always kind of felt like they always feel very earned when you get a kill with them, because like they're like the one exception to the rule of like one-shot headshot. They have like a one-shot torso shot. So while somebody else, like they're the one example of a weapon class that can like play differently around that rule, because they can punish you for a positioning mistake. It doesn't matter if you have a one-shot headshot. They have an easier time shooting you in the chest because you made a positioning error. So that's smart, right? Like that's like tactical and strategically enriching, I think, in a game like Siege.
100%.
And more of that, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. That's our shotgun meta chat. Now we're gonna jump back to, well, technically it was supposed to be the second topic, but we decided to do shotgun meta. But we're gonna talk about Quick Match 2.0. So, as someone who plays Quick Match quite a lot, I would probably say like a good 90% of my time, I'm not really super happy.
I don't know how you do it.
I mean, at the end of the day, I just play the game to have fun, really. It's important to preface this by saying that standard has basically turned, unranked has unranked has turned into standard. That is basically what Quick Match used to be. It's weird. It's really weird, and it kind of comes off as like, why change something that worked? I think the one good thing I would say about this whole change is that Quick Match they've introduced a thing specific for Quick Match. That's called it's basically spawn peak protection, which I haven't been able to test it because we can't play Quick Match specifically on the test server, but that sounds nice. I think taking out that frustration from quick match is kind of nice. However, what I dislike the most about the changes is there's two things. One, they've cut down the map pool significantly. One of the reasons to play quick match in the first place was that you literally got access to all the content, which that's
Yeah.
fun. That's what I want. I want to play all the maps. Sure, I'll even play the bad ones. Like and I can really experiment and I can have fun. And that's also the other issue. Quick match now has preset reinforcements and rotations. And I don't know exactly how that works, if it's based on like an AI type thing where it's based on how many, like where Siege players usually reinforce. Listen, Siege players are dumb as fuck. They will reinforce the entire kitchen coastline wall and then go roam. All right.
Some of the we played around in like custom games with some of the quick match settings.
Oh, you could do that?
Yeah, that's what we did to record B-roll.
What the hell? I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, you missed the memo on that one, Keeney.
I'm glad I did, because I'm against this, like, wholeheartedly.
To your point on Villa, what we saw, the main walls by statue for trophy statue.
Mm-hmm.
So the walls are reinforced incorrectly, right? You usually keep that like leftmost wall with like head level holes, right? So you can take like the aggressive peak from them coming towards the right. So those two walls are reinforced, and then the one on the right is soft.
They also said that it has preset rotations and head holes. Does it have head holes on it?
I didn't see head holes in the one that we looked at, but it does have preset like rotations, like like crouch holes.
But what? Then it makes no sense.
On Bank, they also on Bank they had the preset like the red hall. So you know how you have like the reinforcement in red hall, and then you can throw C4 smoke over for the default plan to the left.
Yeah.
They did it that way,
Wait, like the left side is soft.
Yeah, so that you can toss C4 for the plant.
I mean, again, it's like default, but the thing I hate about it the most is that we're kind of getting into like Overwatch territory now, where we're taking choice away from the player and saying, like, basically saying, this is how you play this. When I jump on Siege, I want to do what I want. I want to experiment. I want to do stuff outside of default, because sometimes default isn't necessarily the best. And it also comes down to like, what operators do I want to play? If I'm playing this operator, I might want to do this setup. If I'm not playing this operator, I want to do another setup. Like, and I can just say like, playing Mira is going to be a nightmare here, because like it's going to be automatically reinforced. So like, you're only going to have so many spots where you can actually put Miras now. And it's like, it's so... I'm fine with the spawn peak protection thing, but like preset reinforcements has to be one of the dumbest things ever. And I get that they just want to make like a streamlined experience for new players, but this also teaches new players a kind of a bad thing, that there is default places to reinforce. There are always going to be reasons why or why not that a certain wall could be reinforced based on the setup, and experimentation is something that we should be encouraging to new players. They should experiment and see what works, what doesn't work, because Siege is an ever-changing game, and getting into these habits with reinforcing is something that experienced players struggle with all the time as well. Sometimes you have to unlearn stuff that you've learned because it's not really that good to do anymore. Shit changes over the years. And I don't know, and that's gonna be the same thing with like quick match. Like, I don't know if the plan is that they're actually gonna update these things based on like what's actually happening in standard or ranked. I don't know. I'm pissed. I'm pissed.
My thing is, I was really on board with the idea until I saw the reinforcements, and I was like, oh no. until I saw the actual. Like the Villa example, I was like, there are so many cases here where I think that like, I'll just say it. I think like Ubisoft could teach players a bad habit, not on purpose.
Yeah.
But that's the unfortunate reality of Siege, and we've harped on it so much. I think on every show we've at least talked about it a little bit. Redeemer talked about a Reddit thing. I think the R6 Pro League subreddit ended up getting shut down.
Oh,
I had a thread.
It was like it was like a bug on Reddit. A lot of them got shut down for no reason.
Oh, JK. Yeah. Well, anyway, that sparked a conversation, right? And I had a thread, a rant at 2 a.m. And I just kind of, one of my usual ones, and I just kind of talked about how, like, hey, like, the game has a lot of variables, and so anybody that understands anything about statistics is going to understand that people with a certain amount of hours are going to have a better understanding of the variable combinations and the outputs than people with, less time. That's not me being mean to casual players. That's true of anything, right? That's not just true of Siege. That's just life.
Mm.
And I think that there are going to be situations where I think it's better to, just put people in the environment and immerse them. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to learn karate if you're a white belt by sparring with a black belt every single day, but you're going to get something occasionally out of that sparring match. You're going to understand, like, how much you suck, right? You're going to understand that, like, your footwork is slow, your reflexes are slow, your positioning is bad,
Yeah.
your timing with, when you have a certain kind of move that you want to make is bad, right? You're going to understand, like, the quickness of it just isn't there. And
I
it's the same thing with Siege, right? Like, you can't learn the game, I think, by just having, like, a set idea of, like, this is how it works all the time. There are no
yes.
exceptions. There's no deviation.
That's not
You
Siege, man.
you have
That's
to,
not
like, be
Siege.
able to. You have to reverse engineer why the reinforcement it goes in the right place. Does that make sense? I don't know
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
kind of
No, no,
waffling.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm fully aboard. Uh, that's kind of my problem as well. And again, it kind of comes back to that Overwatch problem that I have, where the game is telling you how to play the game. A good game, a good hero shooter, they give you the tools and then they say, "Have fun." Right?
Yeah, because I understand why Overwatch ended up doing, like, the role select thing, but I think there are just things that you could have done onboarding wise that could have avoided that problem in the first
Oh
place.
yeah,
I don't know. I'm
100%.
not an Overwatch player. I did
Yeah,
actually. I was one of the few people I feel like who did actually enjoy Overwatch 2 a lot when it came out. Probably just because I never played any Overwatch at all.
yeah, you
It,
missed out on the
it-
good stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, man. I like FPS games. I like unpacking them from a mechanical point of view. I think everybody has, like, some interesting things to bring to the table. But I am a Siege player. I make money off of Siege. I've been playing Siege for a long time,
Mm.
and I just know that, like, I get more out of taking a step back and not overcomplicating it, especially with my content. Right? I can take, like, a complex thing, and as long as I present it in a way that's, like, easy enough for, like, an average person to understand, that goes a longer way than just saying, "Do this,"
Mm.
and
Ah,
just
yeah, I
leaving it at
agree.
that, right?
I agree. Yeah.
So I like the idea behind Quick Match 2.0, and I
I feel like there were better
saw the
solutions.
reinforcement. Yeah.
I think the way I would have sold is, I mean, obviously they've cut down prep phase now, so prep phase is shorter because again they want quick match to actually be quick. But I think there are better solutions that they could have done instead of just making it so that the reinforcements are automatic. They could have just done what people have been saying for ages: just make the reinforcements really quick in quick match. Like don't do it in unranked standard or ranked, but like in quick match,
Remember
just
the
make a
outbreak
reinforcement. Yeah, just make them like
reinforcements? Yeah.
half a second reinforcement so people can set it up quickly, because at the end of the day that kind of is what quick match was for me. That was the place to experiment and do crazy setups and really try things out, because nothing was on the line. You could experiment and then you could bring that into unranked or even ranked. Again, they've kind of taken out the experimentation factor of quick match now, and they want quick match to just be like an onboarding tool. And
Yeah, and
I don't
it
know.
might.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
So let me provide my input as a ranked warrior myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had a stint where I was playing some competitive Siege for about a month, and I can say that I did it and I had a great time for a number of different reasons. I left that team not for any particularly overtly dramatic fashion. I realized that I was just not in an environment that I was going to get much out of,
Mm-hmm.
and so going into that environment and realizing, like, okay, like, what's the difference between trying to play the game for money on the line versus trying to play the game for, like, a shiny number next to your name on R6 tab, are completely different things. And so when it comes down to ranked, I think a lot of people have this idea, because I had it years ago, right, where I was, feeling incredibly self-conscious about my content and the kind of image that I was like projecting out from myself, where I was like, if I don't get the shiny number, then nobody can take me seriously. And so I
But
think with the esports stuff, a lot of people feel the same way. So they're like, okay,
yeah.
we have like we've like partitioned off like the Siege community in certain respects unintentionally, right? We give off this impression that like, here's ranked. This is supposed to be like, this is the highest level of Siege attainable for most people.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's a little bit more complicated than that, right? If you're trying to play for money, if you're trying to really, get something out of this, you're going to be queuing Face It. You're going to be competing in like small, equivalent of like local league tournaments, right? Little, sidebar tournaments here and there, maybe about like, $200, if you win, stuff like that. You're going to be trying to play in stuff like Element One. And so when you have quick match, that's like, here's the part where you can like kind of, you're allowed to experiment, and you're allowed to like, not play the game like 100% optimally, if you want to call it that. And you say, no, stop. If you give people training wheels, right, in quick match, then they're going to have a weird idea of like what standard is going to look like, and what ranked is going to eventually look like.
I mean,
and then they're going to get into ranked, and then I think it sets them up for it sets them up for a convoluted like approach to the game in the long run.
It also comes down to, a wise man once said that the more crutches you have, the more it hurts when they're kicked out from underneath you.
Yeah,
and that's true here. Calling Quick Match 2.0, and especially the preset reinforcements training wheels, is such a good analogy, because what's going to happen here is you're going to create habits for people where they're going to feel like this is the norm.
Bad habits.
When you're creating bad habits, you're creating an environment where people are not used to reinforcing, and then once they jump into an environment where they have to, they're going to be completely lost. It's going to do the opposite of what you would actually want it to do. They're not going to learn. They're not going to remember. They're not going to have that in the back of their head, like, oh, I got to reinforce this, like that, because that's something we do when you play this game all the time. You get stuff in the back of your head, like, this is my setup path, this is my route. When I spawn in, you get used to a certain path that you take and that you set up. That's not going to be there now. You're not going to use quick match as a way to warm up or whatever. It's going to be the most TDM meta place that has ever TDM meta, and I don't like it. But I will say, though, with that said, what they're basically doing with unranked, turning it into something called standard, where there's going to be no map bans, no operator bans. I like that. However, it doesn't have like nearly the same amount of maps available, which sucks. And also,
yeah, that really stinks.
Fun fact, and I don't know if this is true, because we did get the patch notes, but the patch notes also did not have the Fuse and OSA buff in them, so take this with a grain of salt. But in the patch notes, it showed the map pools for quick match and standard. They did not mention any changes to rank. However, Emerald Plains is missing from both quick match and standard now, which means that Emerald Plains is only available in ranked now. I don't know, man. It's just so weird. And again, we're kind of fixing something that didn't need to be fixed. Right?
Whack.
Unranked was also, again, a good place to experiment before you took things into rank. Do you want to experiment with some cool, interesting, strategic operator bans or whatnot? I mean, map bans can go fuck themselves, but operator bans, you could do something spicy with. And I get that they kind of want to speed things up and have less downtime, which is fair, but I feel like you didn't need to change this. You didn't really need to change unranked, and you certainly did not need to, from my point of view, ruin quick match. I am not going to play quick match anymore. I'm going to move to standard, and standard is a worse version of quick match for me.
Do you think that I don't know. I don't know what the Siege is, just a giant sociology experiment. Let's be real.
It's a psyop.
What? How do you get people to like learn if they don't want to go out of their comfort zone? Right. That's like the hard part. Because like I
had a shower thought regarding that, like yesterday and today. I was kind of thinking about that, and it kind of boiled down to I saw a tweet where someone mentioned that, like, oh, this is Siege in 2023, and it was like a Dokkaebi who just walked in blue
I saw
in a
that
custom
tweet too.
game, and got hit by a Fenrir, Ella, Thorn, and it was like, dude, this is such a shitty example. If you
I
actually,
think if you played nothing but Call of Duty growing up and then you picked up Siege for the first time, that would be like,
yeah,
I would expect people to have a reaction like that. And I
yeah,
would try to tell that person, I'd be like, it's annoying. I get it. It's like, slow down. Just like
breathe.
that's the one thing I can always like tell Siege players is that it's like, it's not as complicated as you think. Just like use your stuff.
Yeah, at the end of
Use
the
all the
day,
tools you have, right? Like people don't call out drones on cams. Like when I'm
yeah,
like showing people how to like use comms and like switch, it's like a lot of people don't know if you're an anchor on site, like don't just look at the ground, right? Just like swap cams and just like look
yeah,
around.
cycle counts.
If you see a drone, like literally call the drone, right? Because like if you call the drone, that means they're probably going to be going in that direction, right? Then your roamers are like, oh wait, okay. Like it's lots of little things. Like Siege is
Yep.
a game of like lots of little stuff that kind of like makes into like this big like ball of team coordination.
Yeah.
And those little things are difficult to observe in a vacuum, right? Because the outcome of running in and having aim like Bolo is the same outcome as coordinating and calming, right? With okay
Yes.
aim. And so people only see those two outcomes and they're like,
yeah,
that's where the disconnect is.
it's really, it's quite annoying because at the end of the day, I feel like Siege is its best meta wise when the attackers have to drone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
If attackers are in a position where they can, on average, have a decent, like a 50 plus win rate without really using their like second drone, or hell, even their first drone as like a pre-placed drone or whatnot, the meta is not. Then the meta is not in a good state. The attackers should be getting close to that 50% win rate when they're on average actually using their second drone.
I think ranked matchmaking has just like ruined people's brains and their like perception of how like these games function and work. Because the only outcome that matters is like the most direct path to victory is shoot the enemy. And it's like,
I mean,
yes,
you can compare it to
that's true, but there are ways to make it easier. And so people just like focus on that one aspect and ignore everything else. And I mean, we talked about it, I think, on previous shows where like I think the whole like the map picking honor system is so cringe. It's like, oh, who would ban Oregon and take us to Emerald? This was, you may have beaten us now, but this win didn't count. And it's like, what are you?
I have
crazy?
Something to
like.
I have something to add there, and I think it's so funny because I've been streaming quite a bit of ranked recently. I have my 5 stack.
I'm sorry.
I'm enjoying myself. I have my 5 stack and I am having a good time in ranked. And we're goated on labs, by the way. We have like 90% win rate. We are the labs demons, and we actively go out of our way to try to get it. We tell the enemies that we ban labs. We don't ban labs, and we also have this strategy when we're going to map bans.
Dishonorable.
Yeah, we have this strategy when we're going to map bans to try to ban the most default map available. So if we have, if we get the map selection and we see Oregon or Clubhouse, we ban that map. Not because it's a bad map. Oregon and Clubhouse are fine maps. They're a bit outdated and boring, you could say, but not bad maps. But we're not banning them because they're bad maps. We're banning them because everyone knows how to play Oregon and Clubhouse. So in order to actually increase our chances of winning, we're going to take them to a map that they likelier don't actually know how to play. And this is something that the Siege community completely misses out on, like actually using these map bans and operator bans for a strategic purpose. If we bring them to labs, we have a higher chance of winning because we actually have taken the time to learn how to play it. And it's a good time, and more people need to do this, man. Just learn these off maps, and you're gonna win so many more games, man. Your elo is gonna love you.
You can't get good at any sport by being a one-trick pony. I mean, like even the one-trick ponies, right? Like even the so-called one-trick ponies aren't really one-trick ponies, right? Like they're able to do the stuff they do because they have like a good fundamental understanding of the game. If you're a competitive Siege player, and like, I mean, this happens. Like we see it happen at majors. We have teams
yeah.
that are really good on this particular map, and as soon as they get out of their comfort zone, when they go to a map with a team that has done the homework on them, they lose.
Yeah.
And it's like these things aren't inconsequential. Like those, like logistics matter, right?
Yep.
Like the
Okay.
back end matters.
Yep,
And
100%.
I think, just FPS. I think that's the ultimate reason why a lot of people like have a bad taste in their mouth about esports, is because they think that esports is represented by these like aim bros that just run into sight and shoot everyone. And in reality, I mean, like there's a lot of players like that don't like they don't go anywhere because they're not willing to admit that their comms stink. They're not willing to admit that they don't have all the map knowledge in the world, or they don't have as much like gadget economy and intuition of it, right? They have like certain habits that they just don't have because they've never been willing to accept criticism because they spent like 3 years poning noobs with their aim. Congratulations, right? Like so does every other competitive player, right? Like mechanics is like the baseline.
Yeah.
Okay, like everybody in the NBA can shoot free throws. Some of them are a lot better at shooting free throws than other ones. Some of them are a lot better at shooting than others in general, right? Like we can't all be Steph Curry, right? There must also be Russell Westbrook.
True.
That's all I'm gonna say about that.
True. I don't know basketball.
I mean, I think that I like making sports analogies because
it's funny.
It's an interesting like overlap, because all of like the negative and positive crowd that comes with a sports audience will come to an esports audience.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of the great, like really fun, exciting stuff with that. And you're also going to get a lot of the weirdos, right? You're also going to get a lot of the weirdos that like you'll run into at the bar, and they'll just repeat everything that they hear from ESPN without contextualizing any of it.
Yeah.
And then they'll look at me and they'll be like, why does this nerd have stronger opinions about this sports thing than I do? John Football. I'm John Football. I've been watching football for 20 years. This nerd at the bar can't make a better prediction than I can. It's like, look, I mean, like, esports is like the ultimate combination of like the jock and the nerd archetypes, coming together. You gotta like one cannot exist without the other, right? You got nerds working for football teams, you got nerds working for esports teams.
True.
That's everybody wants to be an e-jock now.
That's your favorite word.
It's a great word. It describes it so well.
Yeah, you're right.
It describes it so well. It's like, I can shoot. Amazing.
All right, now learn the other 9 things you need to actually get good at the game.
And don't make it don't give the guy who doesn't know what they're doing training wheels, because then it's going to bite him in the ass later. I think.
So yeah, Quick Match 2.0 bad.
Not a fan.
Like on the video.
Here's my solution. Suggested reinforcements. Maybe like a hologram that goes over top of it, and then it's like, you could put this here.
Hey, you should work for Ubisoft. What the hell? And again, speed them up as well. Make the reinforcements themselves faster in Quick Match. That's cool. Go do it. But also,
Ubisoft, if you're watching Ubisoft,
another suggestion that I had way ago for Quick Match when they wanted to speed things up, you can allow defenders to go fast in prep phase. Like have like a wake up buff in prep phase that everyone is a 3-speed while setting up, and then as soon as prep phase is over, okay, let's do this. And now you're back to your normal speed. Boom. Like, just makes it a little bit easier to set up.
I'm okay with that too. That's a good idea.
Right?
As well.
Like, because then the speed doesn't affect combat or anything whatsoever. It just helps you get around and put your stuff where it needs to be faster.
That's the part that people miss. Yeah. Like it doesn't affect attack as much, but for defense, like site setup, dude, it's such a.
Yeah. Like, I don't personally mind
with mute.
I don't mind him being 1-speed in action phase, but I'm with you that I mind him being a 1-speed in prep phase. And honestly, I don't think it would be that bad if everyone could just be a 3-speed in prep phase. I'm fine with that.
You have to like memorize a route like a wide receiver. Like you have to. It's so annoying. It's like if you miss the like at the initial, it's like speed running.
Yeah.
It's like you have to memorize like don't like go down this hallway like at this angle, or you're not going to be able to clear the hallway at that point. Don't make sure you shotgun this with 3 shots, because if you don't, then you're not going to have enough ammo to go to the next. Like, it's just,
You know who has a balanced route
right.
in prep phase? Solis.
Oh.
All you have to do is just run around and hunt the drones. It's the easiest job ever. It's like, dude, it's the best job ever. You have nothing of importance to do. It's like the guys who has to like fluff up boobs for like bra commercials. Holy shit. You just get paid to touch boobs all day. That's playing Solis. Holy. Anyways, last topic of today. Well, it's gonna be a tower check. Ooh, tower rework. Ooh, what does that mean? I don't think this has been part of the reveal. I don't think Ubisoft has actually talked anything about it. I can almost put money on that it's gonna be part of.
For clarification, we're recording this. Yeah, it's Friday right now while we're recording.
Yeah. So I don't think they've said anything. I think it's gonna be part of the launch of the season. So we're looking at, I think it's 29th of August. I'm willing to bet like $10 that the season will launch with Demos cooking. Like there's gonna be a terrorist attack on tower.
A cook is one way to put it.
Yeah. Oh boy, oh lord, he cooking. So for those who don't know, which Ubisoft kind of snuck it in there, but I managed to find it. If you go on tower in heavy metal, including the test server that we had access to, tower is freaked the fuck up.
It's messed up.
Yeah. There are 2 major things that have changed. One, the spawning area for attackers has been I don't know what word to put it. Demolished, shelled. Yeah, everything. It's just there's big ass bullet holes all over the place. There's stuff on fire.
I think they're supposed to be like artillery shells. Like he snuck like he either shelled it or he snuck artillery shells like up on the elevator shaft or something, and then
cooked.
Yeah.
And there's also, if you go down and look at the tree at the bottom of tower, by that tree now there's a memorial. I think there's 5 pictures of people presumably dead from the actual terrorist attack that I'm assuming Demos did, most likely, right? He's the big bad guy. And I think there's going to be people kind of mad that it's not an actual rework. And
I think it's understandable.
Yeah. However, I'm really happy about stuff like this. It's basically like visual storytelling. It's something that Overwatch did really well back in the day, where, you know, maybe there was like a big cutscene that happened, and then you went in and you played the game, and then you could see the aftermath of the cutscene in the game. Sure, it's on tower, and nobody wants to play tower, but I really hope that this is something that they continue doing forward.
Well, heck, I mean, even cool. Like, you know, even World of Warcraft would do stuff like that, right? When Cataclysm dropped, the big dragon who was trying to blow up the world, you know, the entire like play area was like completely modified as a result of the the in-game events that were taking place, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I really hope that this is something that continue doing on forward, because obviously, you know, maybe it's not plausible to do a rework every single season, but doing these sort of like mini events through, maybe even throughout the season. There were some people speculating in our content creator test that maybe they're gonna do more stuff on tower throughout the season, add more Easter eggs in mid-season patches and stuff. That's super cool. I highly encourage you, because stuff like this is actually really quite cool, and it actually gets you a little bit interested in the lore when you actually get to see it in front of your face.
You know what I think would be kind of interesting, because Ubisoft has demonstrated that they're capable of doing it, because they did it years ago. You know, because with Chimera, that was completely like an isolated like PvE season, right? Like that was the content, and it was a massive hit, right? Like it was a huge hit. If we're gonna get to a certain point where we're like, okay, like how many more maps can we freaking add, right? Like how many more map reworks can we add? Like the game, you know, I love it, but there is a certain kind of point where it's like there's a lot of stuff, right? There's a lot of stuff to like learn. And to your point about quick match, like not being able to interact with all the content is like really lame. Imagine that we keep adding like new stuff and then we don't even get to play like half of it, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So what I think, I think what Call of Duty has done a pretty decent job of, you know, one of the few things that I think they've done relatively well is you know, the multiplayer stuff is just a completely different conversation, but in terms of like embracing like the cool factor, like action movie side of it with the single player stuff and the raids, the raids, that was one of the more fun aspects I had like playing the game, was like the co-op like mission design aspect of it. The first raid that they released I played was like this really interesting kind of like puzzle sequence where you had to like um you had like this oxygen canister where you're like swimming underwater, and you have to like time like passing around the oxygen canister to your teammates as you're kind of like swimming around this environment. So in a PvE kind of space, you have a lot more interesting angles to approach like the siege sandbox, I think, that you can't really do in PvP, because you have to keep the game balanced. So you can kind of do a little bit more of that like immersive kind of like, you know, gameplay fantasy kind of loop in a PvE environment. So if Deimos doesn't just get like whacked at the end of like year 8, which personally I think you know, I don't know what's going on. I think it'd be kind of lame if they just whack him in a cutscene at like the end of year 8, and it's like we did it, and it's like
Yeah, yeah,
okay, like that's great. Like I love the character,
yeah.
that's awesome. Um, but yeah, I'd like to see like a little bit more interactive gameplay loop
Mm.
in terms of, you know, just like actually going after like the Deimos squad. So maybe just having a season dedicated to stuff like that would be
I
kind of interesting. I don't know.
I had a little bit of a theory. I don't know if I did a prediction on one of our previous podcasts. I might have, but I had this prediction because one of the things coming in season 4 next season is the Defender AI playlist, and Ubisoft
Mhm.
tends to test new mechanics and such in events
Yes.
prior to them actually shipping it into the live game. And so I had this prediction that one of the things that we might see this season is a sort of like short, nice little fun event where there's going to be a Defender AI playlist. However, the Defender AI is going to be run by essentially, you know, the normal operators. However, they're going to be Deimos clones, essentially, visual wise. And then, you know, maybe on tower where this sort of terrorist attack is actually taking place with Deimos. And I think that would be a really cool way, not only to test the actual Defender AI playlist, but also to sort of
Mhm.
create a lore event where you're testing the, you know, playing against Deimos's minions on
Yeah.
tower as a way to, and also with that said, also bringing in lore on there as well, scattering out throughout
Yeah.
the, and making it like a really tense PV. I know that they've been hesitant to do PV experience again, especially with the sort of the response with Outbreak, but also now Extraction. But I
Don't get me
really hope
started.
they have the balls to at least test a small variant of that this season, because I think that would make
I
for a
hope
really good
somebody, yeah,
mid-season
I hope a
event.
smart person is like on the top floor of the building, like listening, not
I
to
mean,
us. I mean,
it's
I
such
don't know if
it's
they
such a
are listening to
simple
us.
thing. It's such a
I just,
simple
you
thing
know,
they could toss
if somebody
together.
can get up to that floor and just like pitch it, and then they have the wherewithal to go, like, okay, like we know that we can, it can work. Like Outbreak worked,
They're
and
literally
that
gonna
was like a
be
freaking
testing
zombie
it
mode.
anyways, most likely.
Yeah.
Just test it in a event. Make it
Yeah.
into a lore thing. Just put it on tower. You don't need to do anything crazy with like, you know, learning the bots how to do vert or anything. You know, just dress them up looking like Deimos. I don't know if there's like an actual model for that for Deimos
Yeah, I
or
don't know what you
something.
call his goons.
I mean, they
The
look
like,
like the wolves from not to say that they're going to be able to reuse Ghost Recon Wildlands models in Siege, but still, you know, they look like wolves, and I mean, they could all look the same visually. They could all have the one and
mhm.
the same model, but they could have the abilities of existing Siege operators that they're eventually going to put in the Defender AI playlist, and just give it a whirl, and then sprinkle in some lore stuff there. I you know, toss it in there.
Because
So,
the thing that people were missing from Tom Clancy is that like you kind of had this period coming out of the mid 2000s where like, you know, overwhelming, like there was an overwhelmingly large amount of like support and mysticism surrounding the military and the intelligence and the security community, and you could
yeah.
kind of play around with that environment quite a bit.
Mm.
And now it's like, okay, we don't want to like piss anybody off, so let's like play it safe and just like don't ruffle any feathers. And it's like I've been advocating for this, you know, for a long time. I'm like,
Mm.
you're not going to avoid pissing anybody off. Like you're already pissing people off by just having the game exist.
Mm.
Like just having this vision, like as it exists from a lore standpoint, pisses some people off. So if there's nothing you can do to please these people, at least have fun with it, right? Like at least,
Yeah.
you know, embrace that side of it, right? Like it's a different audience, right? It's not Valorant. It's not Overwatch, right? Like Tom Clancy books were the kinds of books you found at like Dulles Airport outside DC, right? Like those are this is the kind of like world that people find, you know, really like interesting and impactful because it feels real to them, right? And so there, you know, there's a lot of like analogies and overlap that they draw out with this kind of stuff that I think is worth exploring, and that kind of like groundedness. I understand it's not real, like it's a movie, right? It's a video game, but it feels a little bit more real than say like Overwatch, right? And that's what people like about it. Not saying Overwatch it has bad. I'm kind of waffling, but like Overwatch, you know, doesn't have like bad art design.
Siege is probably one of the bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I like seeing the team take risks with this sort of thing. I've been saying like we need a villain, like we need a bad guy, because this is what these people do. This is like the biggest freaking like black book counter-terrorist org in on planet Earth, theoretically. And they're going to be bad people that want to do bad stuff, and this team is called in to take care of those problems. And there are a lot of like gray areas and cutting of red tape that happens that not a lot of people like. That's exciting. That's drama. That's tension.
It also, I think, you know, if my prediction has any basis, or if a nice Ubisoft dev is actually listening in here with the sort of mid-season event potentially taking place with Demus's goons, it would also allow us to take part of the whole Demus arc more than just every 3 months.
Anime cutscenes,
yeah,
you know, trailers for the new, which I'm not saying are bad. Like they're
really
cool.
Great. They're super cool, but we only get them every 3 months, so it kind of becomes this like, you know, the season launch is like, oh right, Demus exists. He's cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, but it's like
you boot up the game and you have like the splash art.
Yeah, I want to like, you know, be kept. I want to be kept in the loop, like as I'm playing Siege. I want it to be a sort of constant flow of lore snippets regarding this, so that it's not something that I just get surprised by every 3 months. You know, obviously not every single day, but you know, sprinkle it out through these little mini events, and I'm not, or such.
I'm not asking them to turn it into the Avengers. I'm not asking them to turn it into like a Marvel comic book.
Yeah,
like I don't need you to like, oh, that's the name of the guy, bad guy, bum bum bam bam bam. Like you don't have to like camp it up. A little bit of camp is fun, right? Like a little bit of corny, right? Is like, you know, in like sprinkles. It's like, okay, cool. Like they said the thing. But like you don't have to, like, just like a little scene here, a scene there with different characters, right? Like, dude, well, why is my boy been neglected so bad? Because like if you go through a lot of these like CGI cutscenes that they've done for these characters, like you can tell that like they have a vision for this stuff. Like the introduction to Wamai is bro like literally meditating underwater.
He's badass.
That is hard. That goes so hard. Like he's meditating underwater and there's like a shark like swimming around him. That is crazy hard. And bro is just like he supposedly can like hold his breath for like a really, really long time, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got nothing from the guy since that trailer dropped. And I'm just like, dude, like you have so much material here to work with. Just have fun with it. Like play around with it. People are gonna notice that. I think.
Yeah. I agree.
If we can't like sell the esports component of it because it's too hard, at least, you know, try to sell the like fantasy of it, right? That's what's gonna make you a lot of money.
With that said, one thing that I would actually love for them to do is that, you know how there's these interactions that the operators have in Terrorist Hunt when you spawn in. They actually talk to each other and they say things. Why can't we have this in multiplayer? Like, that's so good.
Sound cues, it's not like competitively optimal.
Yeah, but
have a setting to turn it off.
I mean, yeah, it's literally,
like
it's
slider,
there. You can turn off dialogue volume. There you go. Boom, it's off.
Easy,
It's
yeah.
yeah, and like again, it would just be in prep phase. It doesn't really hurt that integrity that much, and it does exist with Clash. Everyone can hear Clash when she yells at people, and there are a couple of other options like that. There, I think it's like Kali has like
They play
balcony
around
and
with it.
shit.
Like you can tell when they're like trying to like
Yeah,
kind of test the limits of what they can do. Like Callie has lines that she says whenever she gets a pick with her sniper.
yeah, bow for me.
Yeah.
And Zero has a line when he stabs someone. Sense has a voice line when they killed someone through their Sense wall. She like they laugh, which is amazing.
Jackal has a line whenever
he does. Yeah, yeah.
Gets a tracking kill. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff that little flavor. I love it, man.
Me too.
I want more of that stuff. I wish we also had voice lines when like Wamai, like obviously you have stuff when they place a gadget, but it would be nice to have like a voice line that operators can hear when like a Wamai catches a thing,
Mm-hmm.
And actually not just for the person playing. Like I'd love to just get more flavor from the operators. And in League of Legends, you have this like tenfold. If two operators that know each other meet each other in a lane, they will like low key taunt each other a little bit. It's like, oh, your face again. Want me to beat it again?
Why did Arcane do so good?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like Arcane pretty much like retroactively like retconned a lot of like kind of like nuanced. If you were paying attention to that sort of stuff, you probably didn't know, but there were like very slight like tweaks to like character arcs in Arcane that were like not reflected, initially in the League of Legends lore. They managed to expand on it and like introduce it to like a wide range of people, and I like that version of the League of Legends lore a lot more than the previous one.
Yeah, Arcane was goated. And honestly,
Yeah.
Siege has the potential to do something
I'm just
similar.
saying, man. I see. I have the vision. I have a vision of this like really, this license like really, popping off and being like a household name. I think it has every right and potential to do that.
100%.
You just got to approach it right, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't live in LA. I don't know the culture, the showbiz culture like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what is entailed in that sort of thing, but I think we have an in.
Yeah.
Somewhere. I mean, we have Tom Clancy like Amazon shows already. It's not like we had this.
Yeah, I know.
What was the No Remorse?
Yeah.
Was that the one with Michael B. Jordan? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the.
And also, man,
going back to the OG stuff, like the promotional stuff with Idris Elba, like it's so badass. Like it's so badass.
Where did he go? I mean, that was how seriously like that license was taken back in 2015, right?
Bring Idris Elba back.
It was freaking it was Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Like I don't think like I know the gamer bros like to think that they're the center of the universe, but like there are like famous and influential people outside of the esports world. I know, but it's like really crazy to think about. But like Idris Elba is like a in case you didn't know, he's like a world-renowned, like really famous and influential actor who has a really big resume. And if you watch a lot of TV, you know the guy, right? And he was a promotional guy for Siege. That happened.
To be fair, real. He got paid to do so.
He got paid a lot.
But there has been celebrities that have talked about playing Siege like actively. Yeah. So it's there. You just gotta get it, But anyways, we're going way off.
We're kind of
but honestly,
it's fun. I mean, like it's fun to talk about.
Going back to things though, if you have any closing words, how do you feel Dread Factor contra heavy metal? Do you feel like we're moving into something that feels better than what current Dread Factor feels?
Yes. Yes, because I've always anytime attackers get a lot more tools to play with and they can interact with the sandbox in a much more impactful way.
Yeah.
I always like that a lot because the game is very defenders. I mean, excuse me, any attack shooter is going to be any game like this is going to be inherently an advantage for the defense.
Yeah.
Like every single time. That's just how these games work. So anytime that you give like attackers, more kit, I think that's fun. Yeah. I don't want to give attackers a free win. I want to give them more options. And then if you come up with a plan and execute it, then you get the dub. That's what Siege is all about. Right. I love the character design. I love everything about the stylistic choices that they made there with the goggles and the plate carrier and the whole like, very tactical, very grounded kind of vibe with her. She's great. She looks great. The gadget is really cool. I love the design of the gadget with the ornate sort of like design. Everything about it from an art design point of view is awesome. And the actual gadget is great as well. So I'm excited. It's going to be a pretty good season, I think.
I agree.
Thank you.
I fully agree with you. I hope we get a banger mid-season patch where Solis gets nerfed. And dude, if Solis gets nerfed, I'm gonna like bust out and do like a 24-hour stream in a suit and drink champagne.
I could have sworn when I got on Solis in the capture event session, I could hear you going Solis.
Well, it would have helped if you actually could hit drones, Gregor.
I got nothing. I got nothing for that.
This was episode 4 of the Post Plant Podcast.
Who won the game? Who won the game, Keeney?
Your teammates.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Oof.